Quote, Newton's on a one-year deal with a low salary, and the Patriots just spent the first rounder on a quarterback. He already was on the clock, but the clock could be speeding up. So, Acho, are the Patriots sending a message to Cam with this signing?
A little bit. And at first I said no, but y'all track with me here. I think I'm going to tell y'all what the rest of the world hasn't or will not. The Patriots are sending a message that we need a backup quarterback because we don't have a backup quarterback. Here's what I mean, Sel. The Patriots don't have a backup quarterback by talent or by desire. Cam Newton is not a backup quarterback by desire. He has made it blatantly clear, I am not a backup quarterback in the National Football League. Mac Jones, a top 15 pick, which most scouts said he was the most NFL ready, is not a backup quarterback by talent. So as the Patriots are looking at their roster, they're like, wait a second, we don't have a backup quarterback. We are stuck with two starters. Remember, there are only 3 preseason games, which means there's now a 2-week bye, a 2-week layoff between the last preseason game and the first regular season game, which means if Cam Newton does not win the job out of training camp, Bill Belichick will probably have the decency and courtesy, or Cam Newton will throw a fit, and Bill Belichick will trade or move Cam Newton elsewhere, allowing him to go be a starter. Because Cam doesn't want to be a backup. So this move to sign Brian Hoyer isn't necessarily sending Cam Newton a message, but what it is saying is, we understand we don't have a backup quarterback, and we need to find a backup quarterback on our roster. Cam, you not the backup, out of respect. Mac Jones, realistically speaking, you not a backup. We don't draft a quarterback at top 15 to make him a backup. We know that. The NFL does not do that, at least not lately in the NFL. So we need to find a backup quarterback. That is you, Brian Hoyer. So Cam Newton, if you don't win the job, you're not going to be on the roster. But realistically speaking, you didn't want to be on the roster anyway if you didn't win the job. So it's no slight to you, Cam. We're going to give you what you want if you don't win the job. That is the only message that's being sent. My dog.
My dog. Love that take. You made me change my mind, so excuse me as I talk while my mouth is full, digesting what you just said right there. Interesting, damn it. I don't think that's going to happen, but I will have a gentleman bet with you. This is what I think is going to happen. They're going to look at their situation and say, Cam Newton, you're our starter this entire year, because I know what happens in my system year one. You either sit or you suck, and I don't want Matt Jones to suck, so I'm going to sit him. Now, going forward, Cam Newton, this is on you. I'm doing you one because last year you came in here. You were a stopgap quarterback for us. We had no assets. We had no resources. We had no personnel. We had no weapons. And you came here and you took a lot of those hits, along with me as Bill Belichick. So this year, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go out there and make something for yourself. Mac Jones is here. He's our future. So I don't care how well you play, you're going to either outprice yourself for what we have because we got Mac Jones, or you're going to be somewhere else because you're right. He's not a backup. But who is a backup? Brian Hoyer. So this is about setting the table of the quarterback room going forward the next 3 to 5 years. Brian Hoyer, we know we can come grab you because we keep grabbing you. Cam Newton, wink, wink, go out there and kill him. Go out there and show him. We got everything we need this year. Reloaded offense, reloaded defense. Cam Newton, second year in the system, not year one, sit or suck. Go out there and earn your way. But it won't be here because Mac Jones is here going forward. But in the present, I think it's Cam Newton. But interesting take, damn it. Let's bring in Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks to speak on this. Bucky, are the Patriots sending a message to Cam with this signing?
No, not at all. Not even in the least bit. Because Brian Hoyer was on that team last year, remember? I think you remember Brian Hoyer, the guy that came in and absolutely fell apart versus Kansas City when he had his opportunity. The same Brian Hoyer that couldn't beat out Jarrett Stidham to be the number 2 quarterback last year behind Cam Newton. No, this is about, what is the old saying I think we talk about in sports? We talk about, if you can't play, you coach. Brian Hoyer is there to coach Mac Jones on the intricacies of this offense. But his job is not to do anything as it relates to Cam. And I understand Acho's take in terms of saying, hey, if Cam is beat out by Mac Jones, it'd be disrespectful to keep him there as the number 2. But I don't have any expectation that Mac Jones is going to beat Cam Newton out, because understand what's going on around the league right now. Teams are not necessarily taking the same approach to the offseason. We're not seeing the same kind of OTAs. We have teams that are opting out of doing 11-on-11 and 7-on-7. And so for a guy who only has 17 starts in college, Mac Jones, to think that he is going to come to New England and step in an offense that is regarded as one of the most complex offenses in football. I just don't see it. Brian Hoyer is there to help Mac Jones learn the offense. He is not there to do anything to threaten Cam Newton as a starter or even as a backup.
Bucky, I don't disagree with you, but a part of your take almost feeds my point. Because my point is this. The Patriots have only committed $3 million to Cam Newton. $3 million in the NFL is nothing. So if Cam Newton does not win the job, it is an if. You can disagree with me on how big that if is, but in all honesty, I think we kind of agree. I don't think Cam Newton will lose it, but there's a chance. And I don't think it's even that small of a chance. We know Cam Newton can get hurt. We know Cam Newton can struggle. So there is a chance. You just told me, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, Bucky Brooks, Brian Hoyer's job is to coach Mac Jones. The backup quarterback's job is to support the starting quarterback. So Cam Newton, if you don't win the job, we quite literally have no place for you on this roster. Because if Bucky Brooks is correct, and I think Bucky Brooks is, that Brian Hoyer is brought to coach Mac Jones, then Cam, if you can't help us on the field and you can't coach our starting quarterback, who would be Mac Jones in this hypothetical, help us off the field, then what use do we have for you? Oh, we're only paying you $3 million, and oh, we respect you enough to help you go start elsewhere. So, Bucky, I do agree with you, but the issue is me agreeing with you almost lends back to my point of Cam Newton isn't a backup. And if Cam Newton does not become the starter, then Cam Newton is not on the roster. And that is what the Brian Hoyer signing can signify.
Okay, so let me do this. Let's see if I can make this simple for you. How many of the starting quarterbacks in the league do we view as backups? Not many. We don't talk about starting quarterbacks in those backup terms because the backup quarterback job is a completely different profile than the starter. And so I understand what you're trying to paint, like if Cam Newton doesn't win the job, but do we really believe that Cam Newton's not going to win the job? Because if the New England Patriots really wanted to move on from Cam Newton, they could have done it in the offseason. They had a high pick. They didn't have to bring him back. There was no reason or impetus for them to bring him back if they didn't believe that he was going to give them the best chance to win. And if we're so convinced that Mac Jones is the guy that they wanted to start, why did the Patriots stand pat and not go get Mac Jones in the draft? Why didn't they move up? Because if they were desperate and clamoring for Mac Jones to be their quarterback, he kind of fell into their lap. So it might have been one of those things where sometimes you get a ticket, you're like, look at this lottery ticket that fell in my lap. I'll take it. I don't need it. I'll play the Powerball. But it's not one of those things that they actively pursued. I think that's what this is. The New England Patriots happened to stop by 7-Eleven and picked up a ticket, but it's not one of those tickets that they intend to cash in because Cam Newton is the starting quarterback. And so they're just building up the room to help their young quarterback eventually play better, maybe in 2022, not in 2021.
Bucky, this is my last jab as we go back and forth with these intellectual blows, if you will. There aren't very many quarterbacks in the National Football League that are starters that we view as backups, but there are three, excluding Cam Newton. There's Ryan Fitzpatrick, who signed an $11 million deal. There's Andy Dalton, who signed a $14 million deal. And there's Tyrod Taylor, who signed a $12.5 million deal. Now, you know Cam's deal is worth up to $14 million. Those four quarterbacks are the only starting quarterbacks that are in that money value range. We've all agreed on this show that money dictates how much somebody loves you. So while there aren't very many starting quarterbacks that we view as backups, I think Cam Newton can now be slotted into that group of now four because he's already been slotted there financially, Bucky Brooks. I think we have to consider he is a starter, but is he one of those starting backups a la Andy Dalton?
Damn.
Okay, so let's be real about this, and let's be very, very clear when we talk about those guys that you listed. If we were in the park playing a game, and you're going to tell me that Andy Dalton, Tyrod Taylor, and whoever else you mentioned is going to get the ball over Cam Newton, I certainly can't be a part of that discussion because if we're saying that those guys are in the same stratosphere, I'm absolutely lost. Andy Dalton, we talked about it. Andy Dalton, we had the conversation, I think last year when I came up on the show, we talked about, hey, Andy Dalton can get the Dallas Cowboys up and going just like Dak. Dak could lose his job to Andy Dalton. That's not a serious consideration. We talked about Ryan Fitzpatrick and what he did. Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing so well, they pulled the plug on him and put Tua Tagovailoa in to start on a team that had playoff aspirations. Yeah, he came in a backup capacity. Here's what we're saying, because